Welcome back to another episode of the GC360 podcast, recorded right here at the Garden City, New York Media Studio. I'm your host, Erica. On this show, we chat about everything from breaking news to common everyday topics like business, education, finance, relationships, and health. And now you can stream our GC360 podcast on all major listening platforms. And this episode is brought to you by Alliance Services, helping older adults continue to live well and independent. On this episode of GC360, we are discussing drowning prevention and how to prepare your children for the swim season. According to American Academy of Pediatrics, drowning is the single leading cause of death among children ages 1 to 4, and a top cause of death among teens. This past year, more pools were installed in homes than any previous year in recorded history. How can parents learn more about water safety and protect themselves and their children from the risks associated with drowning? Joining me today to discuss via video conference is my special guest, Bobby Hazen. Bobby is the district manager at Safety Swim Schools and the founder of End Drowning Now. Bobby, thank you so much for joining GC360 today.
Hi, Erica. Thanks so much for having us and talking about such an important subject.
Yes, it is very, very important. Can you tell us a little bit, first thing, about the newest location of Safety Swim in Garden City?
Yeah, we just opened our 12th location in Garden City at the Omni Fitness Center. So we worked out a great deal with them as far as partnership is concerned, where we're able to utilize their pool and have a fantastic option for families to come and not only work out, but teach themselves and their children how to swim and how to learn how to save themselves, which is obviously extremely important this time of year. And with all that's going on with the pandemic, we got to get these people safer and healthier and learning how to be safer around water.
I very much agree with that. Now, if you live on Long Island, you've probably heard Safety Swim's catchy jingle on the TV or the radio. Safety Swim, jump right in, let the swimming fun begin with the stroke, stroke, splash, splash, water safety's fun. Safety Swim for everyone.
You're hired.
Great. Since 1984, Safety Swim has saved lives all across Long Island. So, Bobby, tell us more about the Safety Swim schools and the services that you guys provide.
Well, obviously what we're trying to do is get water safety education to the community, to every parent, every caregiver, how important it is to keep your children safer around water, any water, not just pools. We're surrounded by water living on Long Island, so obviously that includes the ocean and the beach, but that also includes landscape ponds and open ponds that are in people's yards or around the community. So we want to make sure that we have an option for families to come and learn how to swim. The American Academy of Pediatrics does state that 5 evidence-based strategies are life jackets, swim lessons, supervision, lifeguards, and isolation fencing around any body of water. So obviously swimming lessons being an extremely important part of that, we provide the swimming lessons. We want a child to instinctively react to the water in a positive way. Drownings happen because somebody panics or they don't react in a positive way right away, and they get themselves in trouble because they have water in their lungs. So if we can get a child to react in a positive way, not be surprised by it, learn how to float, learn how to be able to put their head down and kick back to the wall or kick back to the side, then obviously we're going to have a much better outcome.
I love that outlook. It sounds like you guys offer other services besides just simply teaching people how to swim. You kind of cover all the bases of being safe around any body of water, which is really important.
Yeah. I mean, we want children to learn not only just how to swim, but obviously how to save themselves, how to float. If they get themselves in a precarious position, how are they going to be in a better position to float, get back to the wall, get back to safety, know how to rescue somebody. And Splash, our little mascot behind us, has come up with a great acronym that we work with that too. It's called Splash. And each letter stands for a different water safety tip.
Oh, tell us about that.
S would be for swim lessons. So obviously that's extremely important. P would be put away your toys, put up a ladder if you have an above ground pool. L would be for life jackets. Anytime you're on a water recreational vehicle or a boat, children and adults should be wearing a life jacket. Obviously, life jacket is there to keep your head above water. God forbid you were thrown into the water or knocked unconscious. You're able to stay. You'll be able to survive because your head's being kept above water by the Coast Guard approved life jacket. Yeah. Adults always watching. The number one reason that there are incidents and water safety issues is because of supervision. So we recommend that parents hire a water watcher anytime they're at a pool or by the beach, and always keep your eyes on a child. Never take your eyes off the child for not even for a second, not even for a minute. And then S would be shut the gates. Isolation fencing is obviously what we're talking about around a pool, but making sure that your back door is alarmed and closed so that if the door opens, you know that somebody went back there. And then isolation fencing around the pool is the safest thing, not just around the yard. We also have a secondary fence around the pool. And then H, how to rescue. You know, every child can learn CPR, believe it or not. Every parent should definitely know CPR, grandparents included. And then how do you rescue? What can you do? Can you use reach, throw, don't go, a long stick or the pole that you clean your leaves out with? Or even a pool noodle, and not jump into the water to try to save somebody else so that you're putting yourself, now two people possibly in trouble. You just have one, and you use the rescue devices and learn how to rescue properly. That's our SPLASH acronym.
Wow, and it's such a good way to remember it. And you have the mascot Splash, and then you have all of those great safety tips, which is really important. And I like how you talk about you're saying even adults, you said it a couple times, even adults should wear a life jacket. Adults should know how to do CPR. Do you guys offer lessons for adults too at Safety Swim?
Yes, we do. We start as young as 2 months old, believe it or not, because obviously a child is in the womb, which is water. So if you could take advantage of those natural instincts by the time they're 10 months old, so start them at 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and by the time they're 10 months old, you're really taking advantage of those natural instincts. And yeah, we go all the way up through adults. And you're never too young to learn. You're never too old to learn either.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow, that's so important. I took swim lessons as a young kid too, and I'm so glad that I did, because just knowing basics of how to swim, I never get afraid of being around water or anything, because I know how to float, like you said, and I know how to tread water. So it's really important to know.
Yeah, it's just basic water competency, you know, and obviously that includes entering the water, surface, being able to turn around, propel yourself to a certain point, 25 yards usually, how to float, like you just said, and tread water, and then learn how to exit the water. So if you can learn those basic swim skills, then you're in a much better position.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. So now with COVID and the pandemic, how have you all at Safety Swim kind of managed? I'm sure you had to do some different things with your classes and things like that. What kind of adjustments have you guys had to make?
Well, yeah, we obviously had to come across with a really good safety protocol for COVID and submitted that to the state. We obviously follow CDC guidance and the New York State Department of Health guidance when it came to 33% capacity or 50% capacity where we're at now. So, you know, that's basically what we did. We actually created bays in the pool. So we had a limited amount of people in the pool getting their lessons, and they had a specific area that they were doing those lessons in. We had one-way traffic patterns. We had obviously sanitizing stations, and it's worked out extremely well. We've not had any cases that are reported across the country that somebody has contracted COVID through a relationship at a swim school. And as a matter of fact, the CDC stance is that chlorinated water can actually help inactivate the virus in as little as 30 seconds. So it certainly is a great opportunity to come in and rinse your kids off and learn how to swim.
Yeah, safety all around in all aspects. I was wondering how it worked, because I was thinking you can't really swim with a mask on, but since you said you guys just kind of made little bay areas in the water, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, we actually require our lifeguards and our swim instructors to wear a mask. And we felt that was important for their safety as well as the child's safety, but we do not require the student to wear the mask.
Yeah.
So at least we have one of the two individuals wearing a mask, which we were hoping that, you know, has made a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that you guys have stayed COVID-free and stayed safe while continuing to, you know, educate people on something that is about safety. So that's great. And now the most shocking thing to me was the statistic that I learned that drowning is the leading cause of death in children under 5.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it's always been. It's one of the leading causes of death, and it's stayed that way, you know, for many years now.
What's the cause of that? Is it Is it just, unsupervised? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lack of education. I mean, there's a lot of parents that aren't aware of the dangers and risks associated with being near water. Obviously, that's improving. There's a lot of fantastic organizations across the country that are working very hard to make that education a successful venture. And the more that we can educate and the more that we can do, people will realize, and then hopefully these numbers will start to come down. But it's stayed kind of stagnant for all these years. And just to think that it's always a leading cause of death for children under the age of 5. I mean, that's why we start so young, because we were hoping that a child by the time they're 2 or 3 learns how to save themselves, can learn how to swim, and learn how to propel themselves back to the wall and get out. So so you don't hear these horror stories every summer.
right. Hopefully, yeah, we can get that statistic changed, because that is just kind of mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really important too, because like you said in the beginning of the opening of the show, you said that the pool installations have been the highest across the country since COVID. So because of COVID, a lot of families decided, hey, we needed something for our kids to do. The kids are home from school. Let's give them something. And they ordered the quick Intex setup pools, or they ordered a regular pool and had it installed and had the construction done. But because of that, now there's more bodies of water in homes that we're going to have issues with, and the distractions that go along with COVID, and mothers and fathers working from home or being on a Zoom call and all those things, there could be more dangers. And that's why we're really worried about the rise in potential drownings, and hoping that we can educate as many about the risks and help save lives.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing. And I thought, well, I guess people are figuring since they're at home, they may as well have more things to do. But then you made a good point. Now there's more bodies of water. So it's even more important for people to be educated on it and know how to save themselves or save other people. What are some safety protocols for people out there who are putting pools in or thinking about putting a pool in? What kind of safety protocols can parents do at home if they have a pool?
The number one most important thing is supervision without distraction. Obviously, you have to watch your child, or have somebody watching the child, an adult, when they're in the pool or around the water, or you're at a birthday party, you're at a party, whatever the situation may be. So water watch is the most important. And then isolation fencing, as the American Academy of Pediatrics pointed out, is really, really important. A lot of people put they have the fence around the yard, which they have to by code. But some people aesthetically don't want to put a secondary fence around the pool with a self-closing, self-latching gate. They don't want to put that on there because they just don't think it looks pretty. But that could be the difference. So if a child got out in the backyard, or the gate was left open for the yard, they got in the backyard. Now you have that secondary fence there as a backup. And that's what we always talk about, is layers of protection. How many layers are there before a child could get into danger? And if you could stop those, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah. I've actually I have family and friends who have pools. I've never seen a second fence on a pool in my life, like an isolation fence.
Yeah, Texas is actually thinking about making, I think it may have even passed recently this week, where you're going to have an isolation fence around your pool. So I don't know if that's going to be something that will follow suit across the country, but it's certainly, if you're willing to invest in your pool and invest a lot of money to have this beautiful thing in the backyard, you might as well protect it and protect the family at the same time, and get that secondary fence.
Absolutely. Wow. That's so surprising. And now you have another campaign going on. It's the Respect the Water campaign. So tell us a little bit about that.
The Respect the Water campaign was kind of a brainstorm that we have. We have our division of water safety. It's called End Drowning Now, and obviously we'll share that information with your viewers at the end of the show. But that's where everybody goes for the water safety tips. But what we try to do is try to educate families through children at schools with our Respect the Water campaign. And what we basically do is have an animated series that we go, and we actually prior to last year, we were doing it live. We would go with Splash, the costume behind me, and we would actually go to the schools, and we'd have a whole presentation assembly in front of the students, K through 5, and they love it. I mean, it's a 35-minute presentation. It's a lot of fun, and it's all kinds of stuff. But obviously, Yeah, we had to pivot this year last year because of COVID, that you couldn't go to the schools and have the in-person. So we created a virtual. So we have a nice, fantastic virtual program now through Respect the Water, that Rich and myself put on to any school that's interested in having it. And we're hoping to educate as many people as we possibly can.
Wow. How long have you guys been doing that?
We started off doing it. It's kind of progressed and changed over the years, but we've been doing it now about 5 years. It kind of goes along with the Respect Life's program. Rich Specht is my partner in that, and he lost his child back in 2012. They unfortunately lost their child in a backyard pond drowning right around Hurricane Sandy. So he's adamant about trying to make sure that any family never goes through that again. And he's a huge part about what we're trying to do, and it's fantastic. It's a great program. So that's what we're excited about it.
Yeah, that's very inspiring that he is, so invested in that campaign. And it's really important. I hope that all the schools, have Splash come and do the presentation, because it is something that everyone should know about, for sure, the water safety.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key, is educating the parents, educating the caregivers. And what's the best way to do that? Through children. Children are like little sponges. They pick everything up, and then they can be an integral part at home too. Hey, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be running. Wait a minute, you didn't close the gate. Wait a minute, those kinds of things. And they really help out a lot. It's awesome.
Yeah, wow. So how long have you been a part of the Safety Swim?
Safety Swim was established in 1984. I've been working for Safety Swim for 23 years now. Wow. And then I love it. I teach too still. I'm still in the pool giving lessons myself, and it's just so important, and it's such a rewarding job. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not many jobs out there that you can actually make a difference in a child's life and do the things that we do. So that's what I love about it. And any way we can get out there and help, that's what we want to do.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome that you've been doing that for so long and that you still love doing it. And like you said too, the younger you start, the better it is. And kids are like sponges. So getting them in there young, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that's something I didn't even think that a 2-month-old could start learning how to take swim lessons.
Yeah, no, cool. You don't realize it. A lot of people don't, but I mean, the womb is water. So if you could take advantage of those natural instincts, it makes the process of learning how to swim so much easier. So by the time they're 2 and 3 and 4, when you hear about these drownings, they're already saving themselves. They're already we have 2 and 3-year-olds that are doing freestyle and backstroke. Wow. In some cases, the beginning is a breaststroke. So, I mean, that's how fast they can learn, and it just makes a huge difference.
Wow, that's awesome. So now for you all, what does the future of Safety Swim look like? Do you guys have any new ideas coming up, or any classes that you're adding or anything like that?
Well, what makes us different than in most of the swim schools across the country is we do one-on-one lessons. So it allows us the ability to kind of work with each child individually at their pace. You're not in a group format. You're not in a situation where you have 4 kids or 5 kids and some of them are afraid and the others aren't, and you're either pushing kids too much or you're not pushing kids hard enough. Our one-on-one style gives us the ability to kind of work with that child and develop them at their pace. Some kids cry for 2 or 3 weeks and then they snap out of it and then they start learning right away. Some kids learn faster than others. It doesn't matter as long as they learn. So, I mean, that's really what we're all about. Streamline Brands, which is our father company, is super interested in growing across the Northeast and being, and we're going to grow with them. Safety Swim is here to stay, and we're going to keep going.
Good. Yeah, and I love that one-on-one, because then you can really cater to each child and each student, wherever they're at and their comfort level and all of that. So that's really important too. And how many locations do you have?
We have 12 now, and we're looking to expand. Hopefully we'll have some good news in the near future where we'll have a 13th coming up. So we'll keep you abreast of that situation.
Good, yes. Everyone will want to know about that for sure. And now before we sign off, if people want to know about how to sign up for classes or just anything more about the Respect campaign or the Safety Swim School, how can they reach you?
Yeah, I mean, we have the website at safetyswim.com. It's saf-t-swim.com. And on there will be the links to the water safety stuff as well, which they can then find endrunningnow.org. So they can just hop right on the link right from Safety Swim's website. So that would be the best way. And then, obviously each location will be there. So whatever location they're interested in going to, they'll be able to click on the location and contact that location directly.
Okay, great. And so the emails will be on there and everything?
Yep. Yeah, they could either fill out the form to get information, and one of our sales associates would be happy to get back to them, or they can call the location directly via the number that pops up on the website.
Okay, good. So the website's definitely the best place to go. Thank you so much for joining us on GC360 today. I really learned a lot about statistics and the importance of swim safety, and I know that all of our listeners did too. And we definitely would love to have you back on in the near future to have you talk again, and maybe if you have more locations come up or some new things popping up, you can update us on that too.
Well, we appreciate you having us on. Thank you so much for covering such an important subject. And hopefully we can get out there and enjoy this summer. And it's a safer summer on Long Island. We don't have any unfortunate news to talk about, and we could all have a great summer.
Yeah, swimming should be fun.
Right.
Should enjoy the pools. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of GC360. You can rewatch this episode or any past episodes on our website, gc360podcast.com. I'll see you next time.